All right, did Rockstar just delay Squadron 42? Because, as I've heard, it's coming out now in May of 2026, which would make more sense that they bring it out in the first quarter of 2026, like I said that they should. But let's see what's going on here. Oh, I got a spider here. Hold on a second. Damn it.
GTA 6 has been delayed from fall 2025 to May 26, 2026, right into the middle of Squadron 42's release window. It's a disaster, as most of the gaming world cries into their pillow about a small delay to Rockstar's latest and greatest. There is another group, an older group, a group who have been waiting and waiting and waiting. We truly know patience and suffering. We've been ready to answer the call since 2016. For those of us waiting for Chris Roberts to finally deliver his single-player space opera, has Rockstar just ruined CIG's release plans for Squadron 42? What will CIG do now?
I'm gonna watch that tomorrow. I haven't seen it yet.
It's safe to say that they probably won't want to release in the same month as GTA 6. This snippet from an IGN article explains why. If you're a publisher, releasing your game at the same time as Grand Theft Auto 6 is akin to throwing a bucket of water into a tsunami. One studio boss called Rockstar's game a huge meteor and will just have to stay clear of...
Okay, here's the thing. You've got a lot of Star Citizen, Squadron 42 fans that have been looking forward to this for over 10 plus years. I don't think that, the majority of people that are playing Star Citizen are even geared to care about GTA, but I do. I like GTA, so I'm one of the people that actually this falls under. However, if this came out at the same time, I would buy both. But now here's the other thing too. I think that there's not going to be any problem whatsoever because, as we all know, Squadron 42 won't come out till 2032. So they're probably going to be late anyway. I mean, really, I would love for them to lock it down in 2026. If they did want to push it out sooner rather than later, and the game is a bunch of fucking mess, it's a buggy mess, then no, that's not the right route to go here since we've been waiting it for a long time. They better make sure when they release this that it is ready to go, chef's kiss, no problems, because people are going to tear it to shreds if there's one single problem. People have a problem with Squadron 42, it's going to be all over the press. They failed. It's a giant stinker, blah, 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 blah. So when Squadron 42 comes out, it's got to be damn near perfect. It's got to be more than perfect. They can't rush this out simply because GTA. And, frankly, even if they did release around the same time, like I said, I don't know if that would really interfere too much, as the demographics aren't really, I think, affected too much with GTA. I would guess that GTA are a bunch of kiddos all the way up to like early 30s, maybe mid 30s, right? Whereas like Squadron 42 and Star Citizens, we started there and now we're well into our 70s. So, I mean, listen, and a lot of us like myself that are like 112 years old that are vampires will buy both and it won't be an issue. So I don't get this, but okay, let's keep going.
Of the blast zone. While another question before the delay, if we move out of 2025, what if Rockstar do too?
What's up, Kai?
Unfortunately, that's what's happened.
Welcome.
We even have the likes of EA CEO Andrew Wilson implicitly commenting on the game's looming shadow in the context of the new Battlefield, citing some things happening in the year that may cause us to think differently about our launch timing. But as the article goes on to point out, there are examples of games doing very well up against huge releases. The Oblivion remake has just appeared out of nowhere, but it's basically been overshadowed by everyone's new favourite game, Expedition 33, made by a tiny studio of 30-odd developers. The secret to its success? Well,
I got pissed off. I wasn't able to get in on that Arc Raiders test. I was too late on that. Day late and a dollar short on that Arc Raiders. That looked really interesting to me.
It's a really, really good game, and maybe even a great game. Does CIG, though, back itself to deliver a great game? A true 9 or 10 out of 10? A game that will shake the whole industry? I'm not so sure. I've been saying for a while that after all this time, with the reputation so tainted by the millions and millions of dollars that they have made, CIG can't really afford for Squadron 42 to flop. If they release a 5 or 6...
Hey, what's going on, Dr. Aether? Yes, a great pick by you, my buddy. He says, hey, Baldy, another sub well deserved. Loved your Grolo vid that week caught on the YouTubes. Awesome, Aether. Good to see you, buddy.
6 out of 10, if it's riddled with crashes and bugs, then the company might never recover. I think they have to release at least a 7,
awesome dude.
7.5, 8 out of 10. The graphics don't look like there'll be a problem. The cast and the acting, well, they definitely won't. And the story looked compelling in last year's gameplay showcase. But is the gameplay going to hold up? Will CIG manage to optimize the engine? Will it be a mostly bug-free experience? We will have to see. I don't know if even the truest of true believers really think that Squadron 42 is going to be a good enough game to go head-to-head with GTA 6.
Don't underestimate Chris, man. Don't underestimate Squadron 42. Look at all the actors he got for this. Do not underestimate it, man. Listen, he's still got Rockstar qualities in him, man. He's got the veteran vibes. He can either hit them out of the park or they will dud. We know that Chris is capable of some grand slams and some home runs. Yeah, I mean, like, don't short sell Chris. I know it's GTA. I get it. I know GTA franchise is going to, I know this GTA is going to be fucking killing it. They're going to kill it. I mean, like, really, Rockstar is going to own it up with this new GTA. I mean, people are still playing the prior GTA, like, religiously. Many moons later. I know GTA is going to be a fucking success. It will absolutely crush it. But don't undersell Chris. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, that is a mistake.
So they have a few choices. Let's start with the most optimistic and least likely.
Right.
Could CIG move Squadron 42's release date forwards? If you believe...
The problem with this is nobody's expecting it at the first half of 2026. I know I say this a lot, like, hey, it'd be great if it came out the first quarter of 2026. I've been saying it before this Rockstar GTA news. I think it would be smart if they did, but only if it was perfect. I don't want them releasing it if it's got, issues, because a couple issues on this and it'll be a giant dud, and it'll be the wrong way to go about it. This thing has to be pristine. It has to release pristine. Period. So you don't push it out if like I don't think Chris is going to make the mistake of like trying to schedule this around GTA. Like, I don't think this is in Chris's mind where he's like, oh, better watch out for GTA. La la la. I don't think so. I don't think I'm not drawing the demographics together. Like, the analogy is this is like apples to oranges,
that Squadron 42 is basically finished and CIG are just kind of polishing the last few things off. Is it possible that they just release the thing at the end of 2025? Maybe they could just do
right,
a stealth drop like Oblivion. Well, I'm pretty positive about the project on the whole, but I'm nowhere near enough positive for this. I think the evidence suggests that CIG are still deep in the trenches with the single-player game. The only actual gameplay that we've seen that wasn't a trailer
or from years
and years ago was the gameplay reveal from last CitizenCon. Now, this was played.
Aether also says they also want to release when the PU is stable and the bugs aren't so unforgiving. Absolutely, because they're right, Aether, because they want to make sure that people that go from Squadron 42 can go right to the PU and keep spending money. Absolutely right, Aether. God, let's give you the Aether. Yes. And when have they ever been on time anyway? It is important that they push this out 2026. Like I said, when we first heard this news at CitizenCon, I was like, hey, man, they better get this shit going. They better get this shit going and out the door when they say they are, because you're going to have a lot of veterans that are upset if this does not release in 2026, right? Putting that out there like that, saying that they're going to release it in 2026, I think at this point you're going to have to deliver if you're going to give a date. At this point, I think they're going to have to put it out. It would be more beneficial to them if they did get it out before GTA rather than after GTA. But still, how would that affect the numbers? I don't know. I still think the demographics are a little bit different from both titles. I really do. You're talking about a sci-fi game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
played live in front of us, and multiple crashes proved that it was live. It was an hour of gameplay with a lot of cutscenes, and on the whole, it was very impressive. The reception on the internet was really positive. But this was
not a what, Aether? If the PU isn't stable enough in 2026, they have to delay it until it is. They need the. Oh, you mean now that I don't know. Here's the thing. The one thing about putting a date out is exactly the same issue that they had way back in the day when Chris put dates out. You're putting dates out and you want to deliver on your promises. That's like if I tell you guys something and I don't deliver on it, you guys get pissed off at me, right? Like, how many times have I told you that I'd be multi-streaming on YouTube and it still hasn't happened? And how many of you are pissed off at me that I haven't gotten to it yet? Right? Like I've said, oh, I'm going to multi-stream. Oh, I'm going to get on YouTube. And I know there's plenty of people out there that are on YouTube waiting for me to get on YouTube to multi-stream because they don't want to be bothered with Twitch. And they're pissed off at me. And they say, fuck this guy. I'm done with him. And I'll show you. I'll show you the people that are upset. I'll show you right now. Hold on. I just went through the Wall of Fame today to look at the edit here, and look how many people were upset with me. Look, see all these red marks here? These are the people that are pissed off that I'm not going to multi-stream. Look at all this. I lost 15 people here, one person up here, another person up there, because most of them were waiting on me to multi-stream on YouTube because I put a promise out there. I said, hey, I'm going to multi-stream on YouTube. I haven't done it yet because, frankly, Pepe's an asshole and he can't figure anything out, and I need somebody who does technical shit. And, you know, when you're putting out promises like that, you better goddamn well deliver, or then that's the result. That's the result. So, like, you know, if you're going to put dates out and you're Chris Roberts or anybody in there in Cloud Imperium, you put dates out, you got to be careful. Because then if you don't deliver in 2026, there's going to be people that are going to be mad. You know?
one chapter or level of the game. Yes, they showed snippets of other parts at the trailer at the end, but we have no idea how complete the rest of the whole thing is. CIG...
Right, but that's no excuse, right, Aether? Aether says, yeah, you're right on the dates, but it's been so long, they had to say a date. But that's just excuses, right? Because anybody, like, when you say something like that, anybody can see through that, you know? Backers were literally foaming at the mouth, if you remember, DG. Yeah, I know, they're still foaming at the mouth. They're still foaming.
This has effectively paused major development on the Persistent Universe, Star Citizen, so that they can finish off Squadron. And I think that tells us that there is a lot of work still to be done on the single-player campaign. It's not just a few sprinkles and a cherry on top.
It isn't easy.
There's also been zero marketing
taking
since
a while, Hugh, yeah.
And while that might work for a game as massive as Oblivion, Shadow dropping Squadron 42 is probably not the way to go. I'm personally ruling out CIG bringing forward the release of Squadron 42. I think there's no way we'll see it at the end of 2025, and I can't see it being ready for a pre-May 2026 release. Let's move on to the next option.
Yeah.
CIG stays on target. Chris Roberts and crew, they could just stick to their current plan. They could ignore GTA 6 and just hope for the best. If I had to guess at CIG's current plan for releasing Squadron 42, I'd probably go with CitizenCon October 2026. It seems the obvious thing to do. Make the whole thing a massive celebration, trailers, content all over the internet, build up hype, and then release. Or maybe do the whole big CitizenCon thing and then release in November or December. One of those options, that's what I reckon they've been shooting for. And maybe that is far enough away from GTA 6's release in May. Maybe that will work out okay. We also haven't mentioned the fact that the PC release for GTA won't be until 2027 or maybe even 2028. So CIG could, if they can pull it off, have one of the most exciting releases for PC in 2026. But if we rewind to Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar's last major release, well, that was delayed from 2017 to spring 2018, and then finally to October 2018. It got a second small.
Well, the only way that I can see that it matters, DJ, is like, say people lock up GTA before they lock up Squadron 42, if they were even going to buy both titles. Let's just suppose that the demographics line up, which I still think they don't line up that much. But let's say the demographics line up that a large majority of people that would play GTA would play Squadron 42. So let's say that Squadron 42 comes out in May on time, which, you know, that might not even happen. Let's be real about this. It's not the first time Rockstar's done something like that as well. But let's just say they hit their deadline. GTA comes out in May, and then Squadron 42 comes out a couple months later. Well, if you've bought GTA and you're locked into GTA and you're playing it and having a blast, maybe the people that bought it are just like, hey, I'll save my money. I'm having a blast with GTA and I won't buy Squadron 42 right now. So that's kind of where 10 pound 42 is coming in on that, DJ. And I get that. My question is like, do the numbers line up? I'm not quite sure that they do, because I don't think the demographics necessarily, I don't think the GTA demographics take too big a bite out of Squadron 42. You get what I'm saying? I think Squadron 42 is somewhat of an older demographic. I think a lot of mid-30s up into like the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little bit of a crowd that remembers Chris back from the 90s. It's a big crowd. It's an old school OG gamer crowd. But they want to capture they want to capture some GTA. They want to capture some GTA demographics. I mean, it's more money for them. So like if they are going to release after GTA, then perhaps they're not going to get the same kind of revenue that they would. That's the line of thinking I think 10 pound 42 is on with this
delay. And is it possible that Rockstar does the same again, delays GTA 6 just again, right on top of Citizen Con?
I like
now,
GTA,
that would not
personally.
be good for CIG.
Most GTAs.
Squadron 42 is Chris Roberts' baby. It's Wing Commander.
I'll get both, though. I mean, like, in my mind, it's like, I'm just going to get both anyway.
For a new generation, a game that he's been wanting to make for decades. And it's at a level of fidelity and immersion that he probably couldn't have imagined back in the 90s when he was making that Wing Commander series. CIG has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this game. The cost of the cast alone is probably eye-watering. If you think that they're willing to just risk all that time and money just to get completely swept away by GTA 6, I think there's just no way. They will want the limelight for this game. The people who worked on this, they deserve their moment. The investors will want their money back, and
it's a huge deal only because it's GTA, one of the best-selling games of all time. It's a huge deal because it is GTA, and I understand where he's coming from. Every dollar counts in this, especially when you've spent the kind of money that Chris has on Squadron 42. So yes, they probably will be thinking about this. However, if they try and push it out beforehand, and that might be an issue if they're not ready for it, and this comes out a mess, then that's going to be really the guillotine. That'll just chop the head right off of Squadron 42. If they try to push this out ahead of time and it's really not ready, but they do it anyway because of GTA, that's a stupid decision. It would be great if it came out in the first quarter. It would be great if it wasn't buggy. And then I think that would be great. If they can do that, great, do it. That would fix the problem. If they're not going to do that, then possibly shove it to 2027. But then you run the risk of people, you told people 2026. And then you run the risk of, pissing off a lot of people that have been here, done this before. And then you're going to get a lot of unpopular opinions of content creators that get on and they start going, oh, they said 2026 and now it's 2027, blah, 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 blah. Right? So it could be a pickle. It could be a pickle.
Anyone who cares about the future of Star Citizen, the multiplayer universe, will want Squadron.
Yeah, and Matt, you're right. If they're not ready, they have to delay it anyway, and there's no way around it. And frankly, we've seen this show before. I mean, like, it probably is going to be late anyway. Who are we fooling? I mean, like, how long have we been involved with this shit where they've set dates and they have not delivered on those dates before? Personally, I think it would be fucking cool if they delivered on in 2026 and put it out at the same time GTA came out as a fuck you. I think that would be great. Do I think that's the smartest thing to do? No, but I would love the shit out of that. I'd buy 2 copies just for the balls if they did that.
To be a huge success. I am completely convinced they won't go directly head-to-head with Rockstar. And so that leads us to our last option. CIG could delay Squadron to 2027.
This is going to be it. How many of you guys think this is going to be it? I mean, like, I kind of suspect this is going to be it. I'm going to be upset because they gave me a date. And you gotta deliver on the date, but this is probably what's going to happen. I mean, this isn't like rocket science. We've dealt with this shit before, Like, it's nothing new to us.
Now, delaying Squadron to 2027 would not be a great look for CIG.
Nope.
For a game that is jokingly always referred to being 2 years out, another delay would be a bit of a dagger to the heart of a community who finally thought 2026 was actually going to be the year.
There aren't many people that think that. Let's be real, 10 pound 42. We want that to be the case, but in our hearts of hearts, not many of us think that that is actually going to happen.
But would it actually shock anybody?
Hugh says, I'm optimistic about it coming out in 2026, but would understand if it needed a bit more polish. Yeah, if it's something where they need to make sure this thing's working and there's no bugs and needs that polish, then I absolutely agree with you, Hugh.
Who's been really following this whole thing closely all along. If GTA 6 does end up directly on CIG's planned release window, could you blame them for pushing things back? Or potentially more likely, if it's just not quite ready for the end of 2026?
Dude, rock out with your cock out. Just put it out the same fucking day. Just put it out the same fucking day. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it. Listen, Chris, I got the winning recipe. Be a baller, okay? Be a fucking baller and put it out the same day the GTA goes out. Do it. The headlines, the marketing. You'd probably get an increase in sales for something so crazy.
Well, would you prefer a delay again instead of a really bad release? I say all of this hoping and praying that this...
I think I'd be the only one that would appreciate it, and some hardcore mofos if they did that. They're probably not the best business decision. Maybe don't listen to me. Daft says that would be so bad.
It doesn't happen. They just need to get this thing out of the door at some stage.
Dude, I know, but goddamn, wouldn't that be a cool reality where they just fucking did that after all this time and they were like, you know what? Fuck it. We're putting out the same goddamn day. That would be great.
I'm personally excited to see what Chris and the team have cooked up in a single...
Sir, we've got the numbers, Chris. Mr. Roberts, we have the numbers. We released it the same day as GTA, and here's our numbers. We sold 10,000 units. Yeah. What? Whose idea was this? Who's DG360? Oh my God. And then he'd like, no, it's Pepe. It's not me, Chris.
Player campaign, but I'm really here for the future of the multiplayer universe Star Citizen. And in my opinion, SC has been held back for far, far too long by CIG's focus on Squadron 42. But that does actually bring up another reason why CIG could push Squadron to 2027. When Squadron 42 releases,
Pepe screwed up
it
again.
will be the single biggest marketing moment that Star Citizen has ever had.
What, dude?
If CIG can sell millions of copies of the single-player game,
What's up,
they'll be
Diva?
hoping to convert those players over to the multiplayer game. I'm convinced that part of the reason why the company is spending this whole year improving content, performance, and stability in the persistent universe is for Squadron's release. Imagine those poor Squadron 42 players thinking, well, that was a fun single-player game. I probably should go and try out Star Citizen. It has to be a good experience. It cannot be the buggy, unoptimized.
Yeah, that's like what Aether was saying that I completely agree with him on, is that they're going to want to make sure that the PU is in a state that is much more stable than it is today. Absolutely 110% agree with you, Aether. That was such a great comment, dude. Not only do you want to make sure Squadron 42 comes out the gate shining and beautiful, but you want to make sure the PU is much more stable than what we have, because you want that conversion and you want to slide that over so that the sales continue over in Star Citizen and they see the added revenue from it. Man. And again, what is it dependent upon? Server tech. This is all server tech issue, man.
Often empty experience that it's been in the past and still can be today. So if Star Citizen isn't ready for a ton of new players and potential ship purchases, will CIG delay Squadron 42?
Diva said, hello, handsome bald man. Wow.
Until it is. Our next big clue for how this is all going to pan out will be this October 2025 CitizenCon. CIG has already announced that it will be a digital-only event, and again, I imagine that is so that they can focus on getting Squadron finished. But will we see more gameplay footage this year? Will we see a different chapter being played through? Will CIG launch a massive marketing campaign? If they go big this year, I think we have to assume that things are still on track for a 2026 release. But if CIG sweep Squadron 42 under the carpet,
they even made the graphic for it, man. They even made the graphic
2026 release. But if CIG sweep Squadron 42 under the carpet, they don't talk about it, well, I think then maybe we should start to worry that a combination of Rockstar and CIG have delayed the thing again. Let me know what you think in the comments. What should CIG do in this situation?
Just curious what the comments say here. Let's see what the top comment is. Sort by top comment. Let's see here. The most important thing is Squadron 42 running smooth. SIG can't afford a release like Cyberpunk had. Yeah, that's like a lot of us are saying here. Yeah, GTA 6 will not be available on PC when it's released, by the way. GTA 6 may likely be delayed further. That is very true. That is very true. I mean, that could be a godsend. Let's say that they have Squadron 42 ready to go, that the servers are more stable, the tech is is offering us a much more stable experience in Star System by the first quarter of 2026. Wouldn't that be a dream come true? They come out, they knock the ball off the cover with Squadron 42. It's working perfectly first quarter 2026. Keep saying, like, I really think that would be awesome if they released it first quarter of 2026 and surprised the shit out of everybody, and it came out shining, beautiful, sparkling, and playable as hell. And people will be like, whoa, wow, slide over to Star Citizen, slide over the PU, conversion sales out the door, server tech stable. And then I'm like thinking to myself, like, what am I saying? What kind of hopium am I slinging right now? You know what I mean? But man, wouldn't that be great? That would be the best scenario. That would literally be the best scenario if they could do it. They only have a couple months left. 8 months left, which probably not going to happen that way. Probably not going to happen that way.